You load 16 pods, what do you get? Another fathom lower and deeper in depth. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the Mordrid Corp store. Welcome back, everybody, to Critical Depth on Lycanthro Keith's gaming space. And I was going to make a joke about how I was feeling kind of haggard, but as it turns out, that song was by Merle Travis, so I had my Merles crossed. Happens to the best of us. But at any rate, yeah, I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but the show must go on, and no worries. I think a little dip in the pool will help. And as such, we are going back to Critical Depth. This is going to be the last of the post-video narrations. Everything from here on out, after Mordrid Corp, was successful on the stream as far as its audio. As far as I know, I'll preview everything, of course. But we'll have the commentary from the viewers in the stream, along with my original commentary back. But in the meantime, we are going to take to the depths with perhaps my favorite of all of the subs. Not only for the sub itself, but also for how hilarious the sub's captain is. So, without any further ado, let's cash in. And Mordrid Corp, based on a seaplane, as you can see. Cessna, I guess? Not sure, but looks like a Cessna to me. Feel free to correct me. The bottom liner. Nice Illuminati $. An alternative energy source is rumored to have been discovered off Venganza's coast. The Mordrid Corp's profits cannot be jeopardized. We must learn this discovery's secrets and exploit them however possible. Yeah, I'm doing a terrible female voice right now. And as you can see, dual impeller drive, dead average all the way down the line. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means it's equally adept at handling just about anything thrown at it. It does have some disadvantages, and I'll talk about them in a moment. But first, let me see if I can redeem myself here. 2 Mordrid Corporation board members from Dana Nadel, CEO Mordrid Corporation, CC R&D departments, subjects R&D project codename Takeover. We are underway. Like I said in the board meeting, if the other department heads are slow to recognize the importance of the newly discovered energy pods, then I'll just have to recover them myself. Sure, we could spend months doing research on the things and then have another dozen meetings trying to assess the profitability. But the fact is, the pods are up for grabs now. We don't have the time to discuss it. If my guess is right, these things just might be the biggest energy source since petroleum. I want to be riding the crest of this discovery, not floundering in its wake. I don't know, maybe I should pitch shift myself or something. One of many things I should do to myself. I've seen to it that my personal submarine bottom liner has been modified for the task. I grabbed 2 of the most promising interns from marketing to be my co-pilots. I think their names are Virgil and Norman. Whatever, interns all look alike to me. I'm on my way to the Baja Gulf where the most recent pods have materialized. I fully expect that there will be others who want them, but I've faced opposition before. I plan to see that Mordrid Corp ends up with the exclusive rights to every last one. I want the R&D department working around the clock to see what they can make of the energy potential of these things. Hoping for a monopoly. Dana Nadel. Sometimes I can do a slightly better female voice, but Dana's more authoritative, so, you know, that doesn't really work for her. At least that's the excuse I'm going to use. The Baja Gulf. And bottom liner from the front view. So, I mentioned bottom liner having middle stats all the way down. It does help it in terms of what it's capable of doing. I just realized I have my volume up too far. Hopefully that doesn't mess things up too bad. So sorry about that. But, yeah, the main disadvantages of the bottom liner, first off, is the color. Now, radar kind of makes this a non-issue, but it is possible to play a non-radar game. And there you see the super, by the way. The super is called CASH, Capital Accumulating Super Hydro Beam. And it does piddly squat damage, but the idea is it locks onto an enemy and steals some of their special weapons. The instant that it comes back and makes the cha-ching sound, you have the special weapons at your disposal. It's totally random what you get. Now when I press the surface and you see power-ups up there, I don't remember that from before. But in a game against the computers pretty much come loaded with all kinds of things. Cha-ching! I love that sound. But they come preloaded with all kinds of weapons already, so you have a lot better chance of getting different things. In a multiplayer game, what you're going to get is largely dependent on what the other players have picked up, and there's not always a way to know that. One thing it will not do is give you supercharges. So if you use it on a sub that only has supers available and no other special weapons, all you're going to do is a little bit of damage. And by little bit, I mean literally like one peg. But it won't actually take supercharges away. But the color of the sub, like I mentioned, it is possible in two-player games to play games with no radar, no HUD, or at the very least no HUD. So a lot of the subs at that point rely on visual identification to see, and the bottom liner very much stands out. You know, even in the darker parts of the ocean, especially in the darker parts of the ocean further down, it's a lot easier to see the Mordrid Corp sub because, well, it's lightly colored. I may have actually already put in the invincibility code and not remembered that I did it. The only explanation I have as to why I'm not taking any real damage. Oh no, I am taking damage. Okay, never mind. The other disadvantage for the bottom liner is its width. It is one of the wider subs. In fact, I think it might actually be the widest with its wingspan. So getting through narrow areas is often a challenge for it. It bumps into the walls a lot. Now we'll continue this discussion after Dana's next intercompany email. To Mordrid Corp introduction. Now I'm going to skip that. It's just the same thing. The potential of this whole energy pod thing is staggering. This could be even bigger than Titan's drilling rig off the coast of Venganza. I have no doubt that the pods are some kind of tremendous energy source. Each successive pod that we brought on board enhanced my sub in a significant fashion. While I don't understand how or why this happens, I do know that I like it. Anything with that sort of power has got to be valuable. I had better hear something from R&D soon or heads will roll. And that's not the last of it. I've recently discovered that the big stone threshold archways work as some kind of transportation devices. After I had collected 5 of the pods, it began to glow. I had Norma move bottom liner in for a closer look, and the next thing you know, whoosh! We were sucked into the vortex. After I pulled Norman and Virgil out from under the seats, I had them link up to my satellite. We are now in the Red Sea, just like that. When I think of all the profit potential that these pods and thresholds have, I get giddy. All we need to do is figure out some way to exploit them and we'll have mountains of money. Money, money, money. Dana Nadel. Well, woman knows what she likes. Can't blame her for that. And now we head to the Red Sea. So, one of the reasons I was trying so hard to save the stream commentary was because of some of the inside jokes that were made, especially about these folks. Rick in Baltimore and I, along with CMAC 420, played a tabletop dice and paper wrestling game for the longest time, which was actually an official WWF product. Just never saw wide distribution because the guy who put it out was the nice way to put it is he wasn't the most honest person in the world. And I'll leave it at that. But because I liked this so much, I actually used the Mordrid Corporation as a faction in the wrestling game. Dana Nadel was, of course, the manager and the mouthpiece. I used, because you could take the PlayStation 1 discs and put them in a regular CD player, I would bring that and use them in the boombox we used for the entrance music. And their entrance music was of course, the Pacific Rim music because it was my favorite, and it sounded nice and ominous. I don't remember too much about the wrestlers, other than two of them. One was a very big guy, for wrestling fans who know wrestlers. I'm talking like Kevin Nash big, named Grant Stockton, who was a stock market expert. And the other was a more like a cruiserweight guy named Lucas West, and I think his thing was commodities or something like that. There was a third guy, I don't even remember what his name was. That might have been actually where Super Yen came in. Super Yen was a Japanese masked wrestler who had earned a large fortune on the Nikkei. And who also managed to completely bring the organization to a grinding halt when I decided to spontaneously yell Super Yen Power in the middle of a match, and everybody's like, how stupid was that? Why did you do that? And it led to other things, but the fan chant that Rick came up with, whenever Dana Nadel was talking, and of course she was a heel, so she was pissing off the fans, was Nadel takes it up the ass, doo-dah, doo-dah. So that one's for you, Rick. I wanted to have the exchange in, like I said, but I fought hard for it. Oh, an example, by the way, if you don't have a defined target for the cache, it will just fire out that single beam, and nothing will happen, though it will damage something if it hits it. So you want to wait until you have a radar lock to get the most out of it. Header is the same. I'm pleased to learn that R&D thinks they have figured out a way to harness the energy of the pods. I guess they can keep their pathetic jobs for another few weeks. In the meantime, call Rourke and Reardon and tell them to prepare a strategy for going public with our discovery. We'll start by undercutting all the other energy companies, and once we've got a firm grip on our customers, we'll slowly raise the price. I can hear the rush of coins pouring into our vaults already. I can't think of anybody local who does that. Big G&E. I'm glad that I decided to undertake this venture personally. No one else has the cutthroat instincts that I do. There is a whole slew of morons like the inept Venganzan Liberation Organization and the pathetic Earth Hope Society that want the pods for their own inane reasons. I've had run-ins with both groups in the past, but just like before, I mow them down without a second thought. You would think that they would learn. All their high and mighty crusades don't stand a chance against good, pure, dog-eat-dog capitalism. Woof woof. Dana Nadel. Well, you said it, we didn't. Bitch. Sorry, I just need some water there. And Pacific Rim, my favorite as well. By the way, the problem with the width of the bottom liner really doesn't come into play in these first few areas. Even in the temples in the Red Sea, there's still enough clearance to maneuver your way around well enough. Now, occasionally, a bottom liner might have some problems going in between some of the areas of the buildings, but very few. Yeah, there's really not a big issue that the Mordrid Corporation has until coming up a couple of stages later. At least with that. The one good thing, because they have the middle of the road stats, you don't want to necessarily get into a shoving battle with anybody, but you don't necessarily have to run from it either. Mordrid Corp can afford to be in the thick of things, but like a true capitalist, you always want to know where you can find more. So know where the special weapons are, but especially know where the health is. So when you do have to duck out, you can do it quickly and get back into the fray. And then, of course, there's the cheap because I don't give a fuck method, which was, again, if you're just seeing this for the first time, was done basically so I could show everything off, because after a certain level, my skills at this game are nowhere near what they were many, many years ago, and even then, after a certain level, it just got too tough for me to hang. But we're out. Two, Mordrid Corporation board members. From Dana Nadel, CEO Mordrid Corporation, CC R&D Department, Subject R&D Project, Codename Takeover. Never let it be said that Dana Nadel is a wimp. I've just blasted my way through that sunken city and come out victorious. I can't say that I'm much impressed by the competition. Sure, they get in an occasional cheap shot, but none of them truly have that killer instinct that lets me rule the deep. I bet that some of them have been diving for years, but none of them have a chance when I'm on the scene. Kind of a shame, really. I don't remember if that header was different, but I read it just in case. The last threshold put me in the waters off the coast of Bermuda. Already new energy signatures for the pods are popping up on my radar. I'm off to make a few strategic acquisitions, if you get my drift. But speaking of business, I've been thinking, since I'm the one doing all the work in this whole deal, I think that the board ought to recognize my achievements. I'm not asking for a promotion, since I'm already running the company. Instead, I want sizable kickbacks. Either that, or I might just up and start my own company and take the pods with me. Better have the old fogies in finance ruminate on that one for a while. Still your boss, Dana Nadel. You know, she ought to get together with Vera Oberlin from Monster Prom, the Gorgon capitalist from there. Those two get along great when they're not backstabbing each other to take their each other's profits. But hey, you know, ruthless businesswoman, that's what she was meant to be, and that's what she is. So again, this area is not a problem for Mordrid Corp. Nothing really narrow to have to maneuver around where the wingspan becomes a problem. really just the same problems that everybody else has to deal with, specifically the threshold being beneath critical depth. But if you decide to play Mordrid Corp as a hit-and-run kind of sub, this is a great place to do it. Because you've got lots of places to run, and you can come back and hit. Or you can just, stay in the middle of it. Though, if I was limited on ammo, all these shakers missing wouldn't be doing me any favors. As usual, though, the most important thing in any level you're in is get a pod and maintain control of it. Because if you lose a pod, it's a very short slide to someone else grabbing all 5 of them and vamoosing out of the threshold before you have much of a chance to react. Also, pay very close attention to the upper left corner, where it indicates who has pods and how many. If I didn't mention it before, by the way, on the radar, on the upper right, when there's a loose pod, it will appear as a blinking square. Unlike the triangles that will point up or down depending on whether an enemy is above or below you, it will not indicate whether a pod is above or below you. But the easiest thing to do is just get within range of it and sight it. And also remember, if a pod has been loose for a long time, it will drift downward, but it will never drift below critical depth. It will just hang at that line. But that doesn't seem to be a problem now because, 5 pods, royal flush. Okay, so now all we gotta do is head out here and make bank. I'm embarrassed I haven't thought of as many money puns. Oh, and a little thing with the ship there, you can actually destroy 2 levels of the ship's cabin. And Dr. A trying to shake some loose change out of me there. And I don't know what I'm doing here, I guess I decided to just fuck around and kill everybody. And there we're done. Incoming message. I will stand for your interference no longer. I am the mighty arms dealer known as Mr. Fat. The energy pods you are carrying play a key role in my conquest of the world. Only I have the knowledge and the means to use them to their full potential. I will not permit you to continue in your vain and petty quest any longer. I have used my superior technology to block your progress through the threshold. I will now destroy you with my glorious submarine, the Kronos, and retrieve the pods from your pitiful wreckage. Prepare to meet your doom. And, the interesting thing, this is one of the first times that, that Mr. Fat has a, somewhat of a connection with one of the characters. Well, actually, I take that back. Mr. Fat did sell the Soviets their weapons, but, so this would be the Sec character he has a connection with. You'll see in a moment. As soon as Mr. Fat decides to appear from somewhere. Oh, there he is. Yeah, the fact that Mr. Fat is a gray triangle on the map threw me off there for a moment. Oh, and that thing with the evil-looking face on it was the front of a slow-mo torpedo. I think I was trying an experiment here to see how many times Bottom Liner would have to use its super to destroy Mr. Fat. Now keep in mind, if Mr. Fat, I believe, has full armor and full mass. So yeah, this is a weapon that does basically 1 point of damage to him. Like if I fired a torpedo at the same time, it would combo for 2 points. Okay, 3 hit, 24 damage. Now, okay, so I have to correct myself there. 1 hit, 8 damage. So that's still pretty pathetic. Okay, so that's doing 8 damage. I think most of the fact that of where they get the rating for the special comes in the fact that you get the special weapons out of it, or not special weapons, the auxiliary weapons. So the value comes from the damage you can do with them. It's basically designed to keep your weapon bay loaded at all times. But Mr. Fat, that's that. And all that. Well, it's about time. At last I've met up with a sub worthy of my own abilities. The monstrous thing gave me a good fight. It always makes the victory that much more delicious when it requires a little effort. But that's not the real kicker here. As it turns out, the pilot of the sub was Mr. Fat, the notorious arms dealer. Fine, that explains the weapons he was firing at us. But what surprised me was that when his bloated body was pulled from the wreck of the Kronos, Mr. Fat turned out to actually be Sebastian Titan of Titan Worldwide, Inc. Yay. Gave myself a lot of time for this one, apparently. I think because I read the headers every time. This is a tidbit of news that the rag sheets will chew on for months. The leading industrialist of the free world actually led a double life as an illegal arms dealer. How juicy! Add this fact to the sordid mix. The last threshold transported us to the waters near Venganza. That's right, we are now near Titan's massive oil rig. The story is that he has been bleeding these poor Venganzan saps for years, but somehow I expect that even more secrets about Titan's double life are about to be revealed. I can't wait to find out what they are. Relishing the fall of a competitor, Dana Nadel. I misremembered this for a long time as her saying relishing the death of a competitor. And while that's definitely pretty harsh, it would still actually fit her personality. And, you know, let's face it, we're talking about, you know, death in this game anyway. Bloated carcass, for one. Yeah, this was another thing I misremembered as well. I thought that the Mordrid Corporation had something to do with Venganza being basically exploited and strip-mined and, you know, left in poverty. But apparently it might have been all Titan Worldwide, Inc. I'll know for sure once we get to the VLO, because they mention, I know they mention Titan Worldwide Inc. by name, but I don't know if they mention Mordrid Corp as a direct cause of what happened to their island, or if they just say, you know, and another, you know, corporation, you know, typical of that kind of behavior. So, you know, we'll all discover that together, won't we? Again, in Venganza, the only problems that Mordrid Corp might have, sometimes getting through the legs of the oil derricks could be a problem, and if you decide to go into those narrow tunnels that lead to all the power-ups and eventually to the alien ship under the island. Yes, there's an alien ship under that oil rig. Check out the early videos if you'd like to see that. See, remember I told it when I said, check this out from the beginning, because there's a lot to see. I wasn't kidding, was I? But, yeah, those are the only two places where you might have some trouble. Other than that, it's pretty much the same typical strategy here. Move when you need to, get in and fight when you need to. If you do have to duck and use some cover, the best things that you can use are actually the oil derricks and the cliffs. If you really need a break, then that's where the tunnels come in. I realize it's kind of odd that I'm talking about these techniques when I'm not actually displaying any of them, because I've just got a constant shield going and not losing any health. Oh, and if you're wondering why I have a shield going while I'm invincible, it's to avoid the shakers. Because even if I don't take any damage from the shakers, they would still dislodge pods from me, and thus have the chance of people getting through to the thresholds. I think this is a little different trench. Yeah, I don't remember having been through this before. But yeah, basically, even with invincibility on, it is still possible to lose in the regular game if you lose control of pods. There is a off-game mode called Death, where there are no pods, and basically Twisted Metal style, the idea is to be the last one surviving. At least I believe it is called Death. There's a battle and there's a death, and I think battle is with pods and death is without. I'll double check that, but I think I'm right. If I'm not, I'll annotate it. I went with this one. I went a little bit further, so we're going to have one more area on this video. Bong. Advance the film strip. Same header. Aha! Just as I thought. The whole drilling operation in Venganza was a cover operation for Titan's own excavation operation. A lot of operations. He was after the pods, the thresholds, hey, the whole shebang. But best of all, his crews uncovered some kind of alien spaceship. I now have no doubt that these energy pods are actually extraterrestrial in nature. Okay, so collect call home then. Yeah, she is the kind that would phone home for ET and then reverse the charges. The money-making possibilities are amazing. We are going to be even richer than I thought. Since the pods are obviously alien, we can claim that they will do anything we want. Why, we'll market the pods as not only an energy source, but also as the hottest new snake oil of the decade. Get on the phone and work up the infomercial contracts now. I already have our opening line. Do you have ills, aches, or pains? Are you unhappy with your work, love life, or front lawn? Then come, and for a small fee you can bask in the healing energy of the magnificent pods from outer space and be happy. Bless them aliens. Dana Nadel. Almost became a televangelist there. Like Ron Popeil meets Jimmy Swaggart. Take advantage of this amazing outer space offer, my friends. Indian Ocean. And I mentioned that Bottom Liner really didn't have a problem in most of these early areas. Well, that's over with. Because this is an area where it most definitely has issues. And the big issue comes in these narrow tunnels. Now, some of them are wide enough you can manage, but then you get places like where I just turned around. And you can see how much I'm bumping off the walls here. because of the wings, Mordrid Corp, the bottom liner, does have a wider hitbox than the other subs. So when you have a narrow area like the tunnels there, it is a lot easier to get caught up on. And you have to be, yep, see right there. Yeah, you have to be very careful as to when you're making your turn. Now, one of the buttons on the critical depth controls did allow you to do a tight turn. It was essentially kind of like the handbrake. Oh, what the hell that was? I just blew up. It was essentially kind of like using the handbrake on Twisted Metal, but it didn't actually slow you down at all. It just gave you the ability to turn more sharply. And since you can move in any the compass directions, it became very useful for getting around. That became essential here. But just as it allows you to avoid making too wide a turn to hit the wall, you're also in danger of making too sharp a turn and getting yourself stuck. It's like some kind of black bass or something. I don't know. I don't know my fish. The only reason I know black bass is from a Nintendo game. Oh, and by the way, that thing that just hit us is the Team Earth Hope's weapon. It's a homing torpedo called Dolphin. It's an acronym, and I have no damned idea what it means. I don't think it's ever actually explained in the manual. Even though the manual did explain what CASH stood for, Capital Accumulating Super Hydro Beam, I don't think it explained what Dolphin meant. But I'll have to look into that when Team Earth Hope's turn comes around. That's going to be a while, though. But at any rate, we're almost done here. It's about time for me to cash out. So I will go ahead and say my goodbyes now. I will meet up with you again in the next video, where Mordrid Corp once again attempts to break the bank. So, in the meantime, take care and watch your bottom line until we game again. This episode's Operating in the Black and Blue was made possible by Mike Panza, Rick in Baltimore, D. Iote, Gizmo Gremlin, Jumpy Cat, Shin Majin, the post-production work of Matthew Carr Anderson, and all my fully solvent lycanthro fans. Thank you very much for your continued support. Until we game again.